County of Simcoe has launched a new region-wide initiative called StreetReach Simcoe County to address widespread homelessness.
For the County of Simcoe, being the service manager, we a couple of years ago decided to create a strategy, a 10-point plan to address homelessness. And in that plan, we really wanted to focus on outreach. And we wanted outreach to be one of the gateways for someone that's staying outside to be able to get services inside. But we wanted the outreach to be meaningful, not just supporting someone while they're outside, but focusing on housing outcomes, focusing on connection, meaning being able to transport a client from one place to another as they need. Increasing the service, more vehicles on the ground, more hours on the ground, more days on the ground. So for us, we wanted this to be a consistent service, so we wanted one regional partner, and then they could then arrange all the local partners to be able to deliver the service the same way. So that's how we got here today, was using our 10-point plan and then bringing one regional partner to be able to serve the community as a whole.
It is coordinated by Waypoint Centre for Mental Health Care and supported by 5 community partners: the Busby Centre, the Lighthouse, Home Horizon, Youth Haven, and S.H.I.F.T, which is short for Support and Hope for Individuals and Families Today. This program offers continuous 7 days a week outreach focused on housing solutions throughout the year. Under the program, coordinated support will be provided across multiple towns including Barrie, Orillia, Midland, Collingwood, Wasaga Beach, Bradford, and New Tecumseth.
Nobody chooses to be homeless. It's often the culmination of a lot of factors, and often that includes mental health, substance use, loss of jobs. There's many different factors that could influence that, and I think trying to approach it from a place of understanding and compassion and realizing that at the end of the day we're all human and we're stronger together in terms of a community to try and lift up those who may be struggling. I've heard a quote, I can't remember the attribution of it, but it's really that a society is judged by how we treat our most vulnerable, and I think
one of the biggest partners, the Busby Centre, will be providing frontline services 7 days a week in Barrie, Springwater, Collingwood, Wasaga Beach, Midland, and Stayner.
It's definitely not something that's just part of my job. It's part of me as a human. I believe that everybody does deserve a hand up, and if it's somebody that is a friend of mine that needs support, I'm going to bring them in. But I look at everybody as a friend. We need to make sure that we're being good humans to people. That is, human kindness will take us so much further in life. If we're judging people and pushing them down, then what does that say about us, right? So that's really where I focus my personal values, which aligns obviously really well with Busby and the full sector, because we need to be making sure that no one's left behind. People deserve, support, and we need to make sure that happens.
Following are our interviews and coverage of the event.
For the County of Simcoe, being the service manager, we a couple of years ago decided to create a strategy, a 10-point plan to address homelessness. And in that plan, we really wanted to focus on outreach. And we wanted outreach to be one of the gateways for someone that's staying outside to be able to get services inside. But we wanted the outreach to be meaningful, not just supporting someone while they're outside, but focusing on housing outcomes, focusing on connection, meaning being able to transport a client from one place to another as they need. Increasing the service, more vehicles on the ground, more hours on the ground, more days on the ground. So for us, we wanted this to be a consistent service, so we wanted one regional partner, and then they could then arrange all the local partners to be able to deliver the service the same way. So that's how we got here today, was using our 10-point plan and then bringing one regional partner to be able to serve the community as a whole. So the area of service is all of the County of Simcoe. So all 16 member municipalities and the 2 separated cities of Orillia and Barrie. In terms of the agencies, you've got Waypoint as the umbrella agency, and underneath it you've got S.H.I.F.T, Busby, Lighthouse, Youth Haven, and Home Horizons and Brock. Yeah. So part of the increased funding pocket was to invest in new vehicles that are able to transport clients safely, to invest in more hours of service, so 12 hours a day rather than 7 days a week rather than 5. So these are the critical investments, and then a whole new training program, as well as a new data strategy on how to collect the information of each interaction and be able to better understand the holistic need of the community based on the holistic data set that we'd be receiving. Our by name list, which is certified by the federal government, captures on a monthly basis how many people are experiencing homelessness. You can find that at open.simcoe.ca. It averages between 12 to 1,500 people who are actively in our system, touching some part of our system. Of those staying outside, that number is probably closer to 300 or 400 across the county, depending on the time of year and depending on the locations of areas. So really the outreach is focused on that smaller population of people who are unhoused living outside and how to bring them inside, but specifically bring them inside with a housing plan in place to focus on permanent housing outcomes, not just shelter. Yeah, so our outreach team actually is the one who knows how many people are out there, and they report back that to the county. For any of our encampments across the county, we capture that amount of information, and we work closely with our municipal partners. In the case of Milligan's, it would be the City of Barrie, where if the City of Barrie is now in a position that it wants to enforce a bylaw or address an encampment due to a health or safety matter, what we would do is ensure that we're working closely with our outreach providers and the bylaw team to make sure that both of those two units are coordinating the effort to ensure that everybody outside is coming inside. With encampments, as you know, the numbers change daily depending on whether it's overnight or during the day, depending on the location, proximity, or weather. So for us, it's important that every day when we're engaging, we're capturing that information over and over again to make sure that when an enforcement is going to be planned or does occur, that those people outside have an option to come inside that is suitable for them. I wouldn't know until after they have come inside and that's reported back to us from the outreach teams. But what I would say that if someone accepts a service, they would be helped, and even if they don't accept, they're still being supported. So as you recall, in other locations I can share with you, in Mulcaster, all 44 people who are outside during that week in August were all brought inside and given an opportunity to come inside. So that's the type of numbers we know. Milligan's, because it was just initiated yesterday, it's way too early to understand how many people have decided, as people need time to decide on what to do.
Yeah, Waypoint is physically located in Penetanguishene, but we provide mental health and addiction services to the entire central region, including this area. Oh, Waypoint's been around for, at least 100 years providing mental health and addiction services. Waypoint provides a number of services. We are the region's only specialty mental health and addictions hospital. So we provide everything from inpatient, high secure forensic mental health services to regional mental health services, both inpatient and outpatient, and then do a lot of community services as well, including a partnership, which we're talking about today, around assertive outreach to serve the homeless folks in the region. Yeah, we have the one hospital. We have a community health hub located in Midland, and then from there it's really both sort of mobile and services that would travel. Outreach services have been offered for a long time to individuals who are homeless. Waypoint was approached by one of the providers in the area to try and bring the partners who offer this in Simcoe County together under Waypoint's leadership so that we can harmonize our approach to providing outreach services to ensure that we're sort of all offering it in the same way. It's done in a way that's coordinated, and we're able to leverage specialized expertise that partners may have, such as Waypoint's work in mental health, as well as utilizing Waypoint as a backbone to help pull good data and so forth, so we know where needs are and how we might better address them in future, and work collaboratively and with the support of the County of Simcoe. Waypoint's position very much is one that, as I said in my speech, nobody chooses to be homeless. It's often the culmination of a lot of factors, and often that includes mental health, substance use, loss of jobs. There's many different factors that could influence that, and I think trying to approach it from a place of understanding and compassion, and realizing that at the end of the day, we're all human, and we're stronger together in terms of a community to try and lift up those who may be struggling. I've heard a quote, I can't remember the attribution of it, but it's really that a society is judged by how we treat our most vulnerable, and I think that is very much the case. We see people suffering, and how do we come together as a community, as a group of providers, to try and lift those folks up and make sure that their needs are met. And at the end of the day, they have a home that they feel safe, secure in, and again, they're able to contribute more positively to that community. We've been working already with the partners to ensure that we have the entire region covered in terms of outreach, so that if there's an encampment that may be identified or a call for help, that we can collaborate to make sure that the partner who's best suited to do that response can get out there in a timely way and respond. And recently there's been some high-profile encampments that have been identified, and we've been able to come together as a group of providers and really coordinate our response to support those individuals through that difficult time and help them get access to housing, food, clothing, whatever their needs may be, very much together, rather than being separate organizations all trying to work towards that same end. So we're already seeing on the ground the collaboration is paying dividends, and even the sort of data and information that we're able to glean from that to help inform how we respond has been very helpful already. Well, I think we'd all like to be out of a job if we can cure homelessness. That's our ultimate goal. But I think over time, as we kind of further work and learn the needs of the populations that we're trying to serve, hopefully we can leverage the expertise of each of these partners to make sure that if we need to add new services or bring on additional partners, that we can do that over time. So I think we're all kind of going at it from a sort of a PDSA or an iterative approach, but one that's sort of very open and wanting to learn from the population and make sure that we're meeting the needs that they have, so that ultimately they're going to be happier, healthier as a result of this collaborative effort.
So we're providing services to people that are experiencing homelessness or unhoused homelessness right now, in encampments, living street homeless. So they're connecting with people with resources, very basic needs resources, but also resources for different opportunities for housing programs and shelter programs. Really, it's really whatever their journey is that they want to take. We want to be able to just bring those resources to them and see how we can help. I think it was a pretty fluid process. Again, Busby Centre and the other partners that are providing frontline services have been providing outreach for many years and in many evolutions. But then we've also worked with Waypoint on a few different initiatives too. So it really all just kind of came together as the request for proposal came out from the county, that we realized that this was something that had a lot of good synergy. And so we came together and we're able to put in a great application and really continue to celebrate the work that has already been happening, but also with new initiative and new resources. And yeah, so we're just really excited to see where this goes. Yeah, so Busby Centre will be providing frontline services 7 days a week in Barrie, Springwater, Collingwood, Wasaga Beach, Midland, Stayner, so the South Georgian Bay area, and then obviously working with our partners who are working in those other areas. So, it's definitely not something that's just part of my job. It's part of me as a human. I believe that everybody does deserve a hand up. And if it's somebody that is a friend of mine that needs support, I'm going to bring them in. But I look at everybody as a friend. We need to make sure that we're being good humans to people. That is, human kindness will take us so much further in life. If we're judging people and pushing them down, then what does that say about us, right? So that's really where I focus my personal values, which aligns obviously really well with Busby and the full sector, because we need to be making sure that no one's left behind. People deserve, support, and we need to make sure that that happens.
We're here to launch our new StreetReach outreach program here at the County of Simcoe. And really, this is a lot of work has gone into this day to get to this day, and a lot of work has been happening throughout the last few years of building our outreach programs to help support our homeless populations throughout the county. Before we get started, I'll do a quick land acknowledgement. The County of Simcoe acknowledges the land that which gather on today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Nation, which includes the Ojibwa, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We also recognize the Huron-Wendat who occupied these lands prior to the middle of the 17th century. We embrace the enduring presence of the Indigenous peoples of the region, including the Chippewa Tri-Council First Nations, comprised of the Beausoleil First Nation, the Chippewas of Rama, and the Georgina Island First Nation. We also would like to recognize the diverse Métis, Inuit, and Inuit communities within our region. The County of Simcoe is dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture, and is committed to coming together to heal and create future prosperity, respect, and understanding for our communities. So thank you everyone for coming. And before we get started, I'd like to recognize a few dignitaries in the room. Minister Doug Downey is here with us today, and he'll share a few words in a short period of time. Warden Basil Clark on behalf of the County of Simcoe. And we've got 3 county councillors also here with us today. Ted Walker, County Councillor and Mayor of Tate Township. Barrie Doris, the County Councillor and Deputy Mayor of Tate Township. And Tim Fryer, County Councillor and Deputy Mayor of so our community partners are also all in the room today, and I see a lot of outreach workers in the room, so thank you very much for coming on this rainy day. I know you've got your hands full these days and gearing up for the winter, so thank you all for being here. I'd like to recognize Steve and Jessica from Home Horizons, Jennifer and Karen from S.H.I.F.T, Dale from Lighthouse, Nicole from Youth Haven, and Sarah from Busby. And we'll also hear from a few of them today, kind of sharing the experience under this new outreach model. With that, I do want to just share a little bit of how we got here. In 2023, we launched a 10-point strategy on how to address homelessness here at the county. And within that 10-point strategy, one of the key pillars of that strategy was to figure out a way of how do we purposely engage people who are outside, who have often either declined or have been unable to come inside. And one of the things we looked at is this idea of how do we create a consistent, assertive outreach program that provides client transport, supportive services, even housing-based conversations happening right where the people are at. And this is something that was valued for us to do. So we started to think about what that design would look like. And one thing on consistency is we wanted to create a one point of contact model where it's like an umbrella of services under one flag. And that flag ended up being Waypoint Mental Health and Community Services, which is our regional mental health hospital here at the County of Simcoe. And it makes a lot of sense to understand from an organization that does its own outreach programming, how it can blend its best practices to the great best practices established by all of our outreach agencies in our homelessness sector. So now we're able to not only capture the service and the support we're doing, but do it in a way that helps tell the story of what thematically is happening across the county, and how do we as a county and as the service manager adapt to those needs as they continuously change. And I'm sure everybody in this room can relate to the changing needs that you see on a daily basis. So with that being said, I do want to ask our Minister, Doug Downey, to come up and share a few words, and thereafter, Warden Clark.
I really wanted to be here primarily to say thank you for those of you on the front lines doing the real work. I grew up in Bond Head in the south end of Simcoe, and after school settled to raise my family in Orillia for 20 some years, and now I represent the north half of Barrie and Springwater and Oro-Medonte. And so I look at our area as from a different perspective than some, and I see the differences in the different parts of the county. It's a very large area with very different needs in different parts. So to have the coordination, the collaboration that you're literally launching or talking about today, I think is absolutely critical, because one size does not fit all in our county. It's a very diverse area with very diverse needs. My introduction to some of the needs that you're addressing was well before I was elected, as I sat on an advisory committee for Waypoint, and that led me then to, along with my law partners, do consent capacity work through legal aid, and came in contact with some people who had opportunities for other pathways, but somebody had to help them get there. Somebody had to help point them in the right direction. So I'm just absolutely thrilled that we're able to celebrate what you're doing and enhance through partnership, because that is the way to help people who are in need, is to do those partnerships, create those pathways, and work together. So thank you for having me here, and thrilled to sit beside my friend Basil Clark. Thank you, merci, and megwedge.
Thank you, Minister Downey, and I would be remiss to say that without the provincial support that we've been receiving over the years, including the most recent increases in HPP and other provincial funding pockets, last mile, the encampment support dollars, and so on and on and on, we've been able to stand up these type of programs, expand them. This outreach program was increased by $1 million because of the support of the province and the County of Simcoe. Speaking of the county, I'd like to ask Warden Clark to come up and say a few words on that county.
Thanks, Mina, and thank you, Minister Downey, for being here, as well as the county councillors, to launch this very much appreciated program. I've been, well, everybody knows now, 25 years in politics, but almost 20 here at Simcoe County, and a lot has changed over that time. But I can certainly say we've never had this much focus on homelessness and people struggling as we have today. And we know the need is growing, and it's the dedicated volunteers and the workers of yourself that are out there day and day trying to give these folks a hand up that they so desperately need, and that, quite frankly, they're looking for. Nobody wants to be out in the rain. Nobody wants to be on the street. They're struggling to get their lives together, and you folks are the first ones on the front line helping these people. And I want to thank Waypoint for taking the lead, but all the community groups that have come together to be out there with the boots on the ground and really trying to help our brothers and sisters that are struggling. So from the bottom of my heart, from County Council, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Warden Clark. And again, for County Council and the members of Council that are here today, your support has always been critical for us to be able to, produce a 10-point strategy and push that vision through for the last few years. So thank you again. At this time, I'm going to ask Michael Dunn from Waypoint to come up and share a few words. And again, working with Waypoint has been an incredible privilege. They're both involved in our Heart Hub initiatives, but also this outreach program. And I like the continuity and consistency of the service that's being provided is something we were very excited for. So Michael, come up and share a little bit more about StreetReach.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this beautiful day. But despite the weather, it's really meaningful to have so many of you here with us. I was thinking last couple of days about what to say at this event, because it is such a meaningful opportunity. And I remembered that a long time ago, about 20 years ago, I started my career in this sector in working in outreach downtown Toronto, working with folks who were homelessness. And definitely some of the most formative times in my career. And I took sort of 3 big takeaways from that experience that I try and live in the work today, and I see in my colleagues. One of those is that nobody chooses to be homeless. Nobody decides, when they're a kid, I want to grow up and live on the street. These are folks just like you and I. And I think it's easy sometimes to forget that in the busyness of life. But that really is core. The second thing is that when I worked in the field very briefly, is just the amount of need there is on the street, folks who are living rough and how much they're struggling. And kind of fast forward 20 years to today, and I looked at some stats, and it is incredible how that need has grown. There's some stats that suggest that from 2016 to 2024, the number of folks who are homeless increased by 204%. And looking at stats from the municipalities of Ontario from 2022 to 24, alone in Ontario, 25% increase. So the problem's not going away. But most importantly, behind those numbers are our friends, our neighbors, our families, all those folks who are struggling, often compounded by the realities of mental health, addictions, isolation. And we know, of course, that mental health and homelessness are deeply connected. Often those who are living without stable housing are more likely to experience substance use, mental health challenges. And on the flip side of the coin, those who are experiencing mental health challenges are more likely to find themselves homelessness. Like, these are the facts that we're facing in this field. So that's why it's so important today to come together around this launch of StreetReach, and why it's so meaningful. It really marks the beginning of what I think is a new chapter in how we care for one another across Simcoe County, a unified, compassionate, housing-focused response to homelessness. And so I mentioned at the outset that I was going to mention 3 things, and I'll tell you the third that I learned from my brief time doing outreach, and that is it takes very, very special and dedicated people to do this work. And so I look at the folks who are joining us today, and thank you for being here. So just calling out once again the Busby, Lighthouse, Youth Haven, Hands, and Home Horizons, because it takes a big level of dedication to do this, and thank you. From Waypoint, we are very proud to partner with you and support some of that system coordination and integration and work together with our partners at the county so that together we can weave a safety net where hopefully nobody in Simcoe County will fall through. So this is going to be a year-round, 7-day-a-week outreach program designed to help individuals who may have fallen through the cracks of services or don't fit the mold for traditional avenues to shelter. It's a low-barrier, person-centered outreach program that meets people where they are and meets them with respect and hope, which I think is key. It aims to reduce the harms of sleeping rough and to help individuals find stability, health, and dignity that come from having a home of their own. So I think I speak for my partners when I say as well, like from all of us, this is not just a program, it's a passion, and it's a promise that we're going to face homelessness with determination and not despair, compassion instead of separation, because really at the end of the day, we owe this to our friends, our families, and our community members. So together, we are striving for housing to be recognized as a human right, and for every person to have the opportunity to thrive and belong in this community of ours. And thank you again for all of your support.
Thank you, Michael. And again, we're so excited to be partnered with Waypoint and all of our outreach partners because, again, the assertive outreach approach for us is critical. And I was so glad to see the vehicles parked today, so you could see that they're all ready to take clients and move them around to the places they need to go. You know, I was talking with Sarah a little bit earlier. I'm sure she'll share a bit more about this, about how important and imperative that component of the service is. When someone's ready to come inside or ready to seek a service, we can ask them to hop in and get them right to where they need to go immediately. So next I'd like to call up Dale Rowe, the new head of Lighthouse, which we just met a few minutes ago, to share a little bit more about Lighthouse and its role in the program.
Thank you. Minister Downey, Warden Clark, members of council, county staff, Waypoint team, community partners, and special guests. That's such a great list of people here to celebrate outreach. Thank you so much for having the Lighthouse here. The vision of the Lighthouse in Orillia is a thriving community where everyone has a hope, a home, and a future. And the Lighthouse offers 60 emergency shelter beds, including youth shelter beds. And we're a housing-focused shelter. We offer supportive housing, housing navigations and support, mental health support, a medical clinic, warming center, community bag program, meal services, shower and laundry services, ministry support, and what we're here to talk about today, outreach services for both youth and adults. Outreach is more than offering those living rough basic needs, food, clothing, or shelter. It's about connection. It's about meeting people where they are with compassion and respect and reminding them that they're not invisible. Every person we meet on the street has a story, a name, and a dream of a better tomorrow. Outreach allows us to listen, to build trust, and to open doors to services that can help people rebuild their lives. I'm grateful to be representing the Lighthouse, and I've only just joined this organization in this sector. And I was out with our outreach team yesterday, and I carry deep gratitude for the time, compassion, and energy the outreach team brings to each interaction. Their kindness brings warmth, dignity, and hope to those who need it most. Our outreach team is often the first point of contact, the bridge between isolation and support, between despair and dignity. Every meal served, every smile shared, every resource offered, and every listening ear reminds people experiencing homelessness that they're seen, valued, and not alone. This low-barrier program is minimizing the harmful effects of people experiencing homelessness. This work strengthens our community and inspires care for the most vulnerable. The partnership with Waypoint has streamlined services in our county, and we appreciate this support in Orillia. Waypoint is an incredible organization with expertise second to none. Collaboration and partnership is the way forward. Shared knowledge, improved service delivery, and a collective sense of responsibility for the well-being of each and every person in our community is critical. This collaboration leads to greater innovation, community resilience, and more sustainable solutions for our community issues. Together, we can create communities where everyone has a chance, not just to survive, but to thrive. Together, we'll reach and support the most vulnerable. Thank you to the County of Simcoe for the vision of this program and for bringing our organizations together. Thank you to Waypoint and the community service providers, and really everyone here who continues to make this vision a reality through your dedication, empathy, and unwavering commitment to outreach. Thank you.
Thanks, Gail, and I forgot Dale, and I forgot to say welcome, to the sector and to the system. So, and last but not least, I'd like to ask Sarah Peddle to come up and share a few words on behalf of Busby as well.
Wonderful. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Busby Centre has been operating in Barrie for the last, over 30 years now, offering a drop-in centre and then evolving into a shelter provider. But we've always done outreach, a variation of outreach since the early 90s, since we opened. Sometimes it was out of volunteers' trunks, and sometimes it was out of a van that we got from the scrapyard. Sometimes it was, out of our own vehicles. So it's one of those things that we've watched evolve, and it's been really important and authentic work over the years. But it's even more exciting right now because we've been able to get involved with this project and have Waypoint really take the lead on this. We know that our teams have been doing great work for many years, but it's just catapulting it into even better service. So we're really excited about seeing where this can go for people. Thank you to the county for supporting such an amazing initiative. Not gonna lie, at first we were like, what? We have to do this? But it's actually been such a beautiful thing to watch. All of our teams, I can't say enough about our front line. These are the people that are out on these rainy days, on the snowy days, on the worst days to make sure that people have someone to connect with. And we have to really acknowledge the amazing work that you do. So thank you, all of you. Yes. And I also think we have to acknowledge the resilience of the people we serve. When people are out struggling with the housing crisis and mental health crisis, addiction crisis, these are results of broken systems sometimes that we're experiencing. So I know that we're all looking at how to fix those and how to make it better, but people are having their worst day on our streets. And when we have our worst day, we can go home and we can do that in the privacy of our home. And these individuals are not able to do that. They have to do that in front of all of society and be judged by that. So, as this team goes out and connects with people, and we're seeing people get into housing, we're seeing people get into treatment, we're seeing people set their journey, right? We want to be there to complement their journey. We are not there to judge their journey. So thank you so much to everybody for coming. We're really excited about where this is going to go, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah, for those words. And also, I do remember when I first joined the county, I did a tour and I wanted to see where people were at. And we walked and you were kind of showing me the vehicles, and a couple of them were in some rough shape. And so I'm glad to see, walking, we were just chatting before about the cars out there and how they've been handy. And it's just incredible to see what happens in less than 24 months. So congratulations again. Thank you.